Is there a sound issue?
Technology, it likes to give us the middle finger. We, eh, either ways. We are back with the Valley of the Judge. My name is Mildra. With me, of course, is Joe and Sizer. I'm not doing the full introduction a second time.
Hello.
But we had a good bit, though.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, maybe so.
And we are back once again with more of Parselings. So last time around, we tackled the core mechanics through the choice system and delved a little bit into equipment. For this one, we're going to be delving into the Parse system, which is the magic, quote-unquote, system of Parselings, and one where performing it as a group is going to be heavily encouraged.
Will we be able to parse it? One wonders.
You know, I'd throw something at you for that one, but the name kind of encourages it.
It does a little bit.
So, a few key terms we'll be seeing in the mechanics are words, articulation, syllables, and dyslexia. Oh. Just remember the dyslexic atheist. He didn't believe in dog. We will also be delving into coherency and incoherency, which we've kind of done. Incoherency is that ticking clock when it comes to being a parseling, and once you go full incoherent, you are not coming back.
Yep.
But we'll also be delving into the concept of a paragraph, and a little bit later into it, we'll be delving into the tricks part of characters. Tricks are not far removed from knacks or feats, little additional things you can do. So, it opens with identity is a recurring theme in Parselings. It's the bedrock that allows a human to resist the parasites that have infected them, and what ultimately decides if the host becomes a lingua or a parseling. A beginning character's personality is only a fraction of what they have the potential to become, and more often than not, it will change over the course of a campaign. New experiences and revelations will come up and change who they are. As you go throughout the campaign, some of the labels affixed to them may no longer feel quite right, but the past isn't so easily forgotten. To a normal human, there is no discernible difference between one tattoo to the next, but a parseling can differentiate the two important categories of words, aspects and augments, as well as the flow of syllables.
Okay. Do we know what a lingua is? Has that been gone over, or is that yet
I
to
believe
come?
that went over in the opening lexicon.
Okay.
So, just to refresh memory, because that was in the terminology.
Oh, okay, I see.
So, a lingua is a type of animal that's been infected by a parasite. And with
Which
time,
seems like it would just go incoherent right away.
More or less, and keep in mind, as we've mentioned, when something is deeply enough infected by a parasite, it's obsessed with embodying something.
Oh, it's actually it's an animal that's gained sapience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's like awakens the animal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it can develop into a greater lingua or a divine lingua. And a lot of lingua take the appearance of creatures of myth. But
so if it infects a horse, we might get a Pegasus or a unicorn or something.
Or at least the appearance of it. Obviously, it's not a one-to-one of those same creatures.
Right.
But
okay. Well, thanks for reminding me about that lexicon, because I think that's going to be come in handy during this chapter.
So, aspects are usually nouns, and these are tied to key concepts that form parts of a parseling or lingua's identity. These could be names that they have been called to roles that they carry out. Acting contrary to these aspects can cause dissonance in the balance between the host and the parasite, leading to a downward spiral towards incoherency. When used in a parse, the aspect represents the target of change or creation. Now, augments are words that are used to determine how an aspect can be altered or changed. These are words used to describe a parseling. It can be any type of word, including nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. They are often derived from an individual's history, personality, or even simple descriptions given to them by others. When used in a parse, the augment is used as a tool to modify the selected aspect. It represents how the parselings are attempting to change their target. An augment cannot be used as an aspect. However, an aspect can be used as an augment.
Okay, because aspects are nouns and augments can also be nouns.
Mm-hmm. And if your articulation is high enough, you can spend script for additional words. For an aspect, you spend 6 script and roll 1d10. For an augment, you spend 3 script and roll 1d20. You're essentially you're gaining words at semi-random. And once you roll the d10 or d20, you look at the word in the word pool to see what you've gotten. I think that's a smart move because you could have a situation where people don't know what word they're going to get or know it to the point where there's a certain exploit they plan on using all the damn time.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it is random certainly it helps.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess this is a rare instance when a character rolls a die instead of doing something with the deck.
Mm-hmm. But we also brought up dyslexia. When a parse fails, the word has rejected the desires and perceptions projected on it. That energy rebounds back to those attempting the parse, affecting them in different ways. Parselings and the parasite struggle for control of the body, speech becomes distorted, ideas jumbled, and the parseling may begin to ooze ink and blood. Whenever a minor, moderate, or major parse fails, all parselings participating gain the condition dyslexia minor. This is treated as an annoyance level condition represented by the Jack of Diamonds. Should a grand or miraculous parse fail, they're inflicted with condition dyslexia major, represented by the Queen of Diamonds. Dyslexia interferes with your ability to draw upon your parasite. Subsequently, drawing either of these conditions will cause any parse-based powers to fail.
Okay. Well, that seems bad.
Mm-hmm. And just as a refresher, let me dig up conditions. So the first one, a Jack of Diamonds. So jacks are a suppressed type, and keep in mind that's it is the weakest type. You can suppress as an action, and it just means that that jacks are put into the removed pile. So, whereas queens, queens are suppressed by discarding, and you cannot permanently remember you cannot permanently remove queens unless the GM lets you.
Okay. Okay.
And
just keeping it all in the brain box, just trying to make sure it's all makes sense.
And remember, when drawing a face card that you've had added to your deck, that means that one of your cards cannot be used at all.
Okay.
Well, it's there, but it doesn't add anything to that particular check. But
Okay.
then there's syllables, which looks like it's a sum of insight, cunning, and articulation. Uh, Syllables represent your intangible energy stores and what triggers the manifestations of desires. Many parseling abilities will consume at least one syllable. An important decision or act are made by a parseling, which the GM considers emblematic of their personality, should be rewarded by recovering one syllable. Uh, Eating, drinking, sleeping, and socializing are part of a parseling's retaining of their humanity. So, and of course, you regain one syllable automatically for every night of sleep. So, syllable is our MP equivalent.
Okay. I'm here trying to find where it is in the character sheet. I'm not sure it is on the character sheet. Well, it probably is. There's just a lot on this character sheet.
Hmm. Uh, Let me see. It is right. It is right next to health.
Oh, yeah, so it is. Okay, I see it there.
Hmm.
Okay, got it.
And articulation is its own little stat that's at the side next to instinct and finesse.
Okay. Yep,
Uh,
I think I'm going to find it here.
mhm.
Aha, there it is. Yep.
Yep. So when it comes to articulation, they say to speak with articulation is to have clarity and distinction. A parseling's articulation represents a deepening affinity and understanding of the parses and the parsite they have bonded to. As they come into their power, more and more words may find their place on their skin. As tempting as it is to compare articulation to a parseling's strength, it is more accurately a representation of a degree of integration with the host's body. This bond between parseling and parsite may deepen for many reasons. Revelations about oneself and identity, extended use of parsing in one's daily life, or even prolonged exposure to strong parses and other parselings. A fresh parseling starts out at articulation 1.
Hmm.
Uh, and as far as, and it does cap out at 5. When it comes to the uses of articulation, uh, for every point you have, you gain access to additional word slots. Putting aside word slots gained through certain tricks, or words gained through certain tricks don't take up word slots. Basically, your articulation determines how many slots you have for aspects and augments.
Okay. So
And
I suppose that works out well. At low levels, you only have to worry about one aspect.
mhm.
Get you used to it, then get a few more going there.
Yeah, you're gonna have more augments than aspects,
Yeah.
which is
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
But I think the aspect seems to be kind of the central one, and you can use augments to modify it. So.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And with a lot of games that do custom spellcasting, there's usually that sort of setup of one
Mm.
core part of it and then other things you can tack on.
Yep.
So then we have 6 different tiers of parses, each with a different success threshold as well as punishments that can happen if you fail.
Yeah.
And because of how high the success threshold is, it's very clear that the game wants you to do these checks as a group.
Indeed.
Especially
Don't.
since the more people are there, the more potential aspects and words can be used.
Mm-hmm. I don't fancy going for a success threshold of 35. with just one person.
Mhm. But we have minor parses, which have a success threshold of 3. If you fail it, every person involved sends 1 card to the removed pile and gains the minor dyslexia condition.
Hmm.
Um, Moderate parses has a success threshold of 7. On failure, each person involved sends 2 cards to the removed pile. The range of effects for moderate parses is anywhere within a radius of the parseling's speed. Major parses have a success threshold of 14, and if you fail, each parseling involved sends 4 cards to the removed pile and gains the minor condition dyslexia. The range for a major parse is 3 times your speed. Then we have grand parses, which have a threshold of 21. On failure, each participant sends 1 card to the health damage pile and gains the major dyslexia condition for 1 hour.
You're getting physical injuries now from this.
Yep.
You'll need to unlock your.
Oh, geez, what the heck is that? I'm sorry. Um, Geez, okay. I'm casting parses of my own without even trying on my phone.
So, then miraculous parses have a threshold of 28. If you fail, each parseling sends 2 cards to the health damage pile and gains the major condition dyslexia for 1 day. And divine parses, which have a threshold of 35, if you fail that, the aspect holder of the parse will die, and a total of 6 cards among the surviving parselings must be sent to their health damage piles of. Each parseling also
Yikes.
loses an additional coherency.
Yeah, so don't try those without a good reason.
And I should note, with miraculous and divine parses, like with miraculous, you have to make a coherency check when attempting it. So draw cards equal to your articulation from the deck. If no diamonds are revealed, lose 1 coherency. And with a divine, each parseling automatically loses 1 coherency, and they have to make an articulation check to avoid losing further coherency.
Jeez. Okay.
Very high risk when it comes. There's a lot you could. It seems there's a lot you can do with parses, but it's high risk.
Yeah, I see some of the feats. Add a moon to the sky, destroy a city, create an unspeakable army. Yeah, a lot you can do there.
But how are you going to create an unspeakable army if you can't speak about it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good point. Especially because you have to speak in order to do these parses. You've discovered the fatal flaw, Joe.
Either that, or you could be like Aku and unleash an unspeakable evil.
But then a samurai wielding a magic sword.
Summer.
Yeah.
Oh.
But parses can have 3 aptitudes, which you could kind of see as the major spheres of parses. Each one is associated with one of the other suits aside from diamonds, because diamonds have their own purpose in parselings. But there's the embodiment parse, which is tied to clubs. These are parses that affect specifically the caster. And can affect and influence aspects already present within the parseling. Stuff like these would be the equivalent of, say, biomancy.
Yeah.
Parselings who dabble heavily in embodiments can find that their bodies start to shift, becoming more refined in one way or the other. It almost becomes ritual, holding their body to be beyond what is human. If they become incoherent, some of these parses may become permanent parts of their identity. They continually devour their aspect to maintain and fuel their form.
Hey, so you can do a little bit of transhumanism
Mhm.
here.
Mhm. Or even manipulating one's own emotions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The enchantment type uses the suit of hearts, and it is more about coaxing the idea of change being good. Um, things like improving tools, altering structures, and even emotional manipulation. Uh, Emotional manipulation of others rather than self. Self would be embodiment.
Yep.
And those who overdo enchantments could find themselves looking for their aspect around them, expecting it to be wherever their gaze falls. As incoherent, it's almost impossible for them not to make the world into a reflection of their perfect selves.
Okay. So this definitely seems more morally fraught,
Mhm.
just right away, because you're influencing other people, not just yourself.
Yep. Or other things. It's
Yeah.
not limited to people. Uh, you're essentially taking the whole words defining thing that's part of Parselings and applying it to the environment or just your surroundings. Uh, and the third type is emission, which is tied to the suit of spades and is all about creating something from nothing. Uh, it says a parseling attempts to create an aspect out of their own energy and ideas. It requires a brilliant mind to coax these constructs into existence, adjusting and adapting the laws of reality to accept their presence. Though how they react after the parse has been spun is anyone's guess.
You could create like a facsimile of Abraham Lincoln or Harry Truman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could do it.
Oh yeah. And if you're too invested in emission, you could be focused on what could be. The sculptor seeing the statue instead of the stone. A emission favoring incoherent might develop into whimsical beings whose very steps usher forth their aspect, lost in your own minds and imagination and ignorant of the world around them. Which sounds very Fey,
Yeah. We're
but
getting into that aspect of the whole thing here where you're able to, now that we're able to just create things out of
mhm,
nothing.
mhm. Now there is a step process when it comes to creating parses. So first off, creating parses is a simple action. Uh, it can only be completed by people sharing the same initiative group. So they have to willingly be in that thing because each participant has to be willingly touching at least one other member. Uh, i.e., you cannot do parses solo.
Hmm.
The next step is brainstorming, where you talk with the team about what you want the parse to do, which decides the aspect and augments. The aspect is the bigger choice you'll make for the parse since it determines the core of it and what's going to be affected. Augments may add to it. Each individual can only contribute one word unless they have the erudite trick. The selected words will form the intent of the parse. It will be up to the team to describe the idea. Uh, and after that, then we get to the definition part where it's more of, okay, what sort of parse are we dealing with? Are we dealing with emission, embodiment, or enchantment? As well as the words used. And because it's a group thing, each participant has to spend a syllable.
Okay, seems. I thought that was going to be more difficult to get my mind around, but seems pretty intuitive.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the GM will review the parse, and obviously you need GM approval for something like this. The group that's doing the parse has to commit to a parse level before continuing with the check. Which we already talked about. That's the 6 levels that determines a baseline difficulty to pass.
Yep. Where you can mess yourself up pretty badly if you try for a high level and fail.
Mm-hmm. But depending on what type of word you're applying to the parse, your role in the check is different. The total number of cards revealed by all players is the draw for the parse. So if you're contributing the aspect, you reveal cards equal to the relevant parsing aptitude for the parse. For each additional word used in the parse, augment or otherwise, you draw an additional card. So a 4-word parse, 1 aspect, and 3 augments would allow the parseling to draw 3 extra cards.
Mm.
And this is why the type is important, because that's going to determine what aspects you might end up using. So enchantment uses intelligence and instinct, embodiments uses force and finesse, and emissions uses charisma and cunning. Or rather, uses either of them. You don't have to. You're not using both of them at the same time, obviously.
And I believe if I'm going through it correctly, embodiment would be clubs. Mission was spades, and enchantment was hearts.
Yes.
Yep.
Enchantment's Hearts. Diamonds was its own thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So every other parseling who's contributing a word as an augment only reveals 2 cards from their own decks. Once you do that, you review the cards, and it works like a regular check. Cards of the correct suit contribute to, but cards that contribute to the success have to be a matching suit, which is why it's which again, this is why the type of parse is important. Ace is low, just like with regular checks. And other than that, the check part of the parse works exactly like normal checks. And if the parse fails, you have to suffer the rebound that we mentioned, and as we saw, even a low-level failure can still have some nasty effects.
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
On a grave failure, the parse works, but not the way you intended it to. On a success, it succeeds. On a run-on, where you get successes equal to triple the target or more, or if all cards are the same suit, the parse is automatically treated as a miraculous or a divine parse. You not only succeed, but it runs rampant, far beyond the control of whoever conjured it. This can cause a disturbance in the tentative balance between parasite and host. The players have to make a perseverance plus articulation check. If no push cards are drawn, they will lose 1 coherency.
Huh.
Another downside of stacking your deck with high cards, it would seem.
Mm-hmm. And we've kind of seen that where you have to have this balance between low and high, because going too far in either way can have consequences.
Yeah.
But there are alternate rules for parses. First, we have no confidence, This is if the discussion takes too long and has it that only the parseling suggesting the phrase can define it. This includes the aspects, augments, type, level, and intention of the parse. Everyone else has one chance to consent or opt out, removing their word from the parse if they opt out. If there are insufficient words to complete the parse, the expender of player turns are not necessary. Or improv parsing, which makes me think of the most horrifying version of Whose Line Is It Anyway. This is an alternative to step 4 of parsing. You don't determine the parse level. This is all left up to the outcome of your parse check. The strength and magnitude of the parse will be relative to the successes gained, limited only by the highest articulation of the group. When total successes triple the minimum successes needed for the highest applicable parse, it becomes a run-on. If the total successes is a multiple of 7, the parse fails and the energy runs rampant. You suffer the effects of a parse failure at the level of the number of successes drawn.
This is what happens when you put it into the hands of like beatniks.
So essentially, instead of choosing what the level is, you do the draw, and the amount of successes you get and the articulation cap determines what the level of the parse is instead. In addition, you have the Parse book, which is the closest thing to a spell book, but it's more of a shortcut of different parses that you might use based on the words that everyone has access to. And on the other hand, we have the shorthand version, where upon obtaining a word, you assign a single definition that word has when it can be used as an augment. When using these words in a parse, you'd simply line up definitions relative to the aspect. But for each level in articulation you gain, you add an additional definition to your respective words. So those are a few alternate rules. A way to mess around with the 180 ways that parses could be arranged. But and there are ways to sense parses. This is, well, parse senses. Detection, reading, and resistance. Detection is, well, you are sensing a parse in the area. It is an emission articulation check. And if you're just detecting a parse, that's only difficulty 7. If you're trying to locate the origin, however, it's 21. Parses cannot be concealed, but parselings or lingua can do an articulation plus coherency check to conceal their presence. Which makes sense, since you're putting these words that you embody into yourself or the environment. It makes perfect sense that that would not be subtle. But then we have parse reading, which is an extended check that uses enchantment and articulation, and is tied to the suit of diamonds, contested by the parse level. This is basically trying to understand the intent of a parse. For each word in the parse, you require 1 success. So parse reading would be relatively easy compared to the others, which makes sense because all you're doing is Okay, a parse is here. What does it do?
What is it saying? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and especially if it's low level, it shouldn't be too difficult to figure that out.
Mm-hmm. And reflexive, not reflexive, but parse resistance is the only reflexive check in this. uh, it is a mix of perseverance, embodiment, and articulation. Is the suit of diamonds is contested with the success threshold of the parse that you're resisting, and it is basically you trying to resist a parse. This is your roll save kind of thing. Because the parse site doesn't like its host being changed or it being changed. But
Okay, yeah, that follows nicely.
now then we have coherency, which is meant to be the control that a parseling has over their mind, as opposed to the parse site having the control. And coherency ranges from 10 to -4. Starting parselings have coherency 7. If you fall below 1, you become a incoherent. Uh, and as mentioned, sometimes you may have to do a coherency check. When you commit an act that's described on table 4.4, which is on the next page, that is equal to or below your current coherency, the GM will ask you to make a coherency check. If no push cards are drawn, you lose 1 point of coherency.
Mm.
And when it comes to incoherent, with each incoherent, there is a concept that's woven into their identity that they have to embody. If they do not feed for a period of longer than 24 hours, they run the risk of losing what little coherency they have left. They make a coherency check by drawing cards equal to their articulation. And there, when you're in the negative and as a incoherent, there are their own set of rules that they have to follow. And should incoherency go to -4 or lower, then you completely lose yourself. So going to 0 incoherency isn't the end, but you start to become incoherent.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not the end, but you're close. You're right on the edge of succumbing to the beast. In other words.
Okay, that's a little different than what I expected. I thought it was going to be more like once you get down to 0, you're done. I guess not though.
Nope. But things, and each coherency check that would be triggered has a certain number of cards that you are going to be drawing. And if the number is appears to be higher than your coherency, then nothing happens. So because of that, this is one of those situations where the lower you are on it, the harder it might be for you to cross that threshold. Much like, say, sanity in Call of Cthulhu.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to lose. It's harder to lose sanity if you don't have much of it.
Yeah.
But when you do become a incoherent, your form is going to change. Uh, no two incoherents are going to be the same. Uh, but but there are three main types: creators, so emission type incoherence. It exists because I exist. Consumers, so embodiment types. I can be the one and only one. Uh, consuming their concept to maintain their strength. Whereas emission types constantly create their concept, and correctors, which are tied to enhancement, just a little more and we can make it perfect. These are ones that their powers manifest externally into belongings and surroundings, and keep meddling in people's lives.
Yeah. I think it did enhancement. Shouldn't that be enchantment?
Um. Yeah, that might be a typo.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it even says with enchantment parses, it is so easy to make those subtle changes to make the roll just right for you. So there we go. Yeah.
mhm. So, if you've died or has coherency 0, that's when you start to become an incoherent, with a concept as your centerpiece. Uh, though this process may not always guarantee to produce a incoherent. The first step is reshuffling your health damage, wound, and removed cards into your deck. Both you and the GM draw a card from your deck, put it face up, the GM puts theirs face down. You have to decide if your card value is higher or lower than the GM's card. And
Oh
declare
no, it becomes a side game.
whether it's higher, lower, or equal. If you guess correctly, you fail to become an incoherent. You get control of your character back, but it's tenuous. If it's incorrect, well, welcome to incoherency. And
Suddenly I'm getting a Madoka vibe out of all of this.
I could see it. First off, generating the concept. You label all of your words with a number. Roll one die of number of words. The corresponding word will become the concept of the newly born incoherent. You gain the tricks incoherency singularity, and incoherency correlation. These are the base abilities of the incoherent, a unique ability generated from their concept, as well as the ability to consume this word in all of its manifestations and forms. You also add the King of Diamonds incoherency to your deck. This condition cannot be removed. Whenever this card is drawn, it represents you submitting to your incoherency. Until something breaks the cycle, your character forgoes all reason and rationality and may commit acts they would normally object to. And they're referred to as a trick tree, but there are a few incoherent exclusive tricks. Correlation as mentioned, which basically is you eating the words tied to that concept. And depending on how well you succeed at it, you get certain things based on the type of check. In a mission check, you regain a syllable, perseverance, and potential. On an embodiment, for every 2 successes, you recover 1 card from wounds. On an enchantment, you apply any successes gained to your next check. On articulation, when a diamond is drawn with this check, you can search your deck and send the condition incoherency to your removed pile. Remember, removed just temporarily puts it out of the picture. it does not you can never fully take it out. And incoherency pinnacle, simply acting with the intent to embody your aspect, has consequences. You would send cards equal to your articulation from the top of your deck to your discard. For each one discarded, gain one additional success to your next check. And remember, it's not that hard to get cards back if you're running out.
Hmm.
Yeah, you just have to take an action to, or simple action, I think it was, to reshuffle.
Yep. But before we get to paragraphs, what do you guys think of the way parses work and the way incoherency works?
Well, let's see here. The way parses work, as I said before, I think it's, as long as you understand the systems that it's built on, I kind of like it. It sounds like you could have have a good time trying to figure out the best way to do it with your group. I think your group is going to be end up being called a paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm understanding all the nomenclature correctly. Um, yeah, there's a lot. Like, I mean, there's as many options here as there are words in the English language here, right? So,
Well, we
quite
do
a
have that
bit.
word chart in chapter 1 to
Was
make
there a
this a
word
little
chart?
bit sane.
Okay, okay.
Because you remember that chart during character creation to help people figure out their starting words.
All right. So yeah. That make so you are confined a little bit here,
Hmm.
but still, a lot of possibilities, even with whatever your group ends up coming up with.
Yeah.
And you could play two, in new game, new words. You're gonna regenerate them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
um, so do I like it? I think I like it. This and let me look at the incoherency stuff again, because yeah, it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting something more in like World of Darkness, where if you drop to zero humanity as a vampire, your beast takes over, and that's the end of you, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully, the rest of your coterie will put you down. Um, but no, this is that's a little more interesting to have you play as a concept driven eating machine. Um, for a bit here, instead of just generating a new character, though I suppose you could generate a new character if you were just having a hard time um, playing the concept driven eating machine.
Yeah, it's clear that that with how this is set up, if you are at zero or negative incoherency, it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be incoherent, but you are on that razor's edge.
Yeah.
I find it really intriguing. Like the depth that they went into for all of this. Not to mention how much they probably went into a thesaurus to go, okay, what words can we use for this? Um, but like it's real like I really like it. I As long as we don't have to deal with MLA format, I'm good.
Mhm. Oh yeah, and personally, I appreciate that while there's a lot you can do with this system with parses, there are two major things that are hammered home. One, you got to be doing it as a group, which is why group
Yep.
initiative is such a big deal and why moving into group initiative is relatively easy. And
Hmm.
two, you're always taking a risk when doing parses.
Hmm.
Doing parses is a gamble. And sometimes when you gamble, you lose your fucking shoes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, considering like it's the key phrase for a parseling, like
Mhm.
this is what like even lingua can do it, but still like interesting.
Mhm. Oh yeah. But getting into paragraphs. It says a paragraph is a self-contained unit of discourse in writing dealing with a particular point or idea. A paragraph consists of one or more sentences, though not required by the syntax of any language. Paragraphs are usually an expected part of formal writing, used to organize longer prose. In terms of parselings, a paragraph is a group of like-minded, Parsite-infected individuals, i.e. parselings and/or lingua, coming together to form a similar set of ideals. It can be carefully considered and decided upon or forged by force in extreme circumstances such as catastrophe or shared loss. Parselings in larger groups are terrible forces to deal with. They're able to shape the world at a whim, albeit at the risk of their own sanity and safety. When tied together under a single name, a single word, these individuals can become a cohesive unit. Their actions and ideas become tempered with shared intent and goal. The parses they weave cut deeper and faster. They can jump higher and longer, knowing there will be someone to catch them if they fall. So,
Very poetic.
mhm. So maintaining a paragraph is as simple as having half of its members performing a parse together at least once a month. These parses must contribute to a greater goal, uh, renewing the promise between the team, affirming their willingness to cooperate towards that goal. Failure to do so can result in the collapse of the paragraph. Now, if they do resolve their goal, the connection fades, and you don't get access in time to the benefits generated from the paragraph. The word generated from paragraph defined and the articulation gained through paragraph conduit will remain for each of the surviving parselings, but the other tricks derived from the paragraph will be unusable.
Okay.
On the other hand, a collapse can be formed from different ways and have different consequences. Abandoning the shared goal, half the members have died. The grand parse that once strengthened and reinforced the parselings rebounds, burning the ties between the team. When a paragraph collapses, all members of that paragraph must make a coherency check. For each surviving member of the paragraph, the surviving parselings must draw one card. Should they gain any diamonds, they automatically succeed. So, a pretty standard coherency check. On a success, you only lose one coherency. On a failure, you become incoherent.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
The incoherency word is the aspect from the trick paragraph defined. The surviving parselings will retain the aspect from the trick paragraph defined, but the remaining tricks will be lost and rendered unusable without the support of other paragraph members. So don't collapse.
Okay.
No promises.
But in order to form a new paragraph, there need to be at least 3 to 10 coherent parselings, none of which are affiliated with an existing paragraph. And there's a set of conditions that have to be met before a paragraph can be formed. So first off, proximity. The group has had to have spent at least 7 days in each other's presence. The form doesn't matter, just they've been around each other for at least 7 days. Parsing. So each of the members have to have completed at least one parse of grand, miraculous, or divine strength. The group has to have shared a meal that's prepared together. But part of the food has to be made from the body of a grand lingua or incoherent and consumed by each prospective member. So no going out and getting takeout together, and all of a sudden you're a paragraph.
Yep.
No, you've got to be doing some dungeon meshy shit.
Okay, so time for me to make a grand lingua chicken and just serve its eggs.
Yep.
Good.
But there has to be some unified purpose shared by the individuals, some ultimate goal or some traumatic incident. Basically, there has to be a reason that the paragraph is being formed. And this is something that has to be tangible. Now, in order to bind the paragraph together, a grand parse must be conducted, as this is a promise that ties everyone's fates together. When the players decide on this parse, they are willingly committing to a curse or contract between those involved. Those shared changes tightens the bonds between the individuals, resulting in the formation of a paragraph.
Hey.
So, when it comes to defining the paragraph, there's a few tricks. Each parsing the paragraph can generate one trick for the whole team to a maximum of 5. These are technically tricks, but they do not require the expenditure of script. It merely requires a certain number of parselings in the paragraph. And when it comes to the point setup for tricks, they have to be learned in sequential fashion. Let's see, we have defined. The paragraph has an aspect that defines it. So essentially one special aspect that doesn't count towards the word limit, but is tied to this paragraph. Conduit. So as long as all the members of the paragraph are alive, your articulation can go up by 1. Can't go past 5. If one of the members leaves or disassociates, you can no longer use that. Rapport, which when you make a coherency check and when members of your paragraph are nearby, you can draw an additional card for each member present. Although if you fail the coherency check, everybody else has to make that same check.
Yeah.
You also can't have the stabilization trick. Which for that one, you draw 2 cards and treat hem typo as if they were part of the parse involved. While you do not need to be touching your paragraph members to activate this, you must be able to perceive the parse. On a success, you take 1 wound. On a failure, you are treated as if you were the same as the aspect holder, suffering the same recoil. Essentially, this is an attempt to soften the blow if you guys fail a parse. Then repetition, which does require at least 4 parselings in order to use. Whenever a parse is attempted wherein the word chosen for paragraph defined is used more than once and an ace is drawn, you can use this trick. All parselings involved can spend an additional syllable to treat an ace drawn as either a 1 or a 10 once per parse. If you take it, you can't take routine. And vice versa. We are seeing this kind of pattern, so there is something of a tree here, where there's certain ones in the sequence that cancel each other out.
Yeah.
Like for example, if you take rapport, you can't take stabilization, and vice versa. And keep in mind, these tricks apply to the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
If it was an individual thing, I'm pretty sure somebody would say, well, why don't we just have one person take one person take the other? Well, that answers that question.
Yep.
But with routine, once per scene, you can lower a parse success threshold by 7. And cards still are drawn, as challenges may still inhibit a parse. Then we have Paraphrase, where you need at least 5 parselings. When contributing an aspect for a parse with only your paragraph, you can trigger this ability. If your parse aptitude for embodiment, enchantment, or emission is less than that of your compatriots, you can draw an additional card. It's a very nice way to fill up the lower ranks. Like if you got somebody who's not as good at the kind of parse that you guys are trying, they have a better way to contribute. I could also see Paraphrases as being the one who's for the people who prefer being the contributor to a parse, but not the one who starts it.
Place for everybody and everybody in their place.
And translation also requires 5 parselings. When parsing as a group, you do not decide on the parse level. With this trick, the parse cannot fail. Rather, the parse level will be determined by the number of successes achieved. While you may not be able to achieve your desired success effect, at least this way it can't go wrong. So in other words, if you have translation, you'll hardly ever fail a parse, but it might not do the amount of effect that you want.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are they snowboarding on flowers?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it is flowers. I thought they were oysters for a second. I was just looking at the individual petals, though.
Oh yeah. Then in between the chapter there's a short story. But before we get to the appendix covering tricks, what do you guys think of the way paragraphs work?
Oh, you first.
Okay. Well, no. You sure? You sure? I did first last time, so.
Okay. So I really like how it's not just a party. It's not just the group of people playing together. Not necessarily, because there's a reason for it, and you have to build up to it. Narratively, the DM could just kind of like hand wave and go, "Yeah, you guys do all of this shit already, and you're already a paragraph." But it also lends itself to actually forming those ties in game, in media res, as opposed to just having it be pre-established. And I really like that. It's more than a party. It's more than just a coterie or whatever other groups that you have from like any other game. This is building something, and the fact that people can decide what the big word is that defines their paragraph is nice. I really like that.
No, you're right. It's like the formation of a
Surprise,
paragraph is its own chain of quests, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Which helps structure the game for sure. A good way to like get a new group who's playing this game used to its ideas, used to working together, and sort of thinking about what do we want to accomplish with these crazy powers that we sort of fell ass backwards into. So yeah, think you do have to have system. It's probably good to not have too many that guys if you're going to play this game. But of course, I suppose that's true with any game. but definitely it's not going to work. This, a person who wants to go their own way is not going to be happy um, if they are, if they're sort of, I guess you could say forced, but put into this kind of play where it's about the group, not about the individual. It's a communal experience.
Hmm.
Um, which yeah, I think that's interesting. Most TTRPGs don't require the player to think, require the players to um, act as a group quite like that, you know.
Hmm.
And I think it's an interesting challenge. How are you going to stay a paragraph when there's plenty of other things, like the challenges that your characters face, um, potentially getting in the way of you working as a paragraph. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think cohesion too is a potential problem, and smart GM is going to be able to know how to sort of poke at the edges there and require the players to double down on their commitment to the shared goal.
Now,
Hmm.
considering I missed the first bits of this book, I'm not exactly too understanding of how common lingua are in terms of like grand lingua, because the meal requirement for them to actually have a meal made from the body of a grand lingua or their incoherent counterpart is interesting to me.
Hmm. It
Yeah.
wasn't stated how common lingua are. And by the way, thank you for the raid, Hydra. Hope Puppet Dance was what treated you well. Uh, but when it when it comes to when it comes to lingua, I think the commonality of them is going to be is going to be a table decision. But I feel like the vibe we're getting here is you are not expected to to have a full paragraph ready at character creation.
Yeah.
I
I,
think the idea of a paragraph is meant to be a far more advanced use of parses, especially since you need to have made a parse at least once and made a high tier parse at that.
yeah. And I recall one thing about it mentioned about how parselings kind of attract each other. So they're like a little bit like immortals from Highlander, right?
Mhm.
Um, or like the Taverin from Wheel of Time.
Or stand users.
Yeah, those two.
Uh, and if you listen close, you can hear someone playing roundabout.
Ding 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 ding.
You thought it was a grand lingua, but it was me, Dio.
Uh,
So, do you want an arm or a leg of this one?
mhm. Yep. So that being said, for me, I appreciate that paragraphs is not something you can do at the start. Not unless you're playing advanced characters right out of the gate, and I would not recommend that your first time through with any
Definitely
game.
not.
Like even in my early days, I would advise against someone playing immortal rules in old school D&D as their first campaign. But But with that said, let's get to tricks. Now, we won't be going through all of the tricks because there's a lot of them. But we will be looking at them overall. So there are a few points of terminology. Points is the number of points needed in this trick to achieve the effects desired. You can have no more or no less than the number of points listed. The script cost will also be listed. Check the specific check required to do the trick. It may contain an image, aptitude, or specific combination. Some tricks don't have a check. Cost, the cost or resources required to trigger it. Most tricks do not have a cost involved. Requirements, the conditions needed to learn the trick. Often it'll be another stat on your character sheet, or that it can only be obtained during character creation, or that it can't be purchased in tandem with another trick. And we have trick trees. Some series of techniques must be learned in a sequential fashion. You cannot learn a 2-point trick without learning its predecessor. Each style is treated as a singular type of trick. And when it comes to points, I want to double check something, specifically in character creation regarding tricks. So So just as a refresher, at character creation you start with 7 points worth of tricks. So that's what they're referring to when it comes to the whole point cost thing. And when it comes to getting new tricks, the amount of points in getting tricks is going to determine how much script you've got to spend for it. 1 point, 2 script, and it basically goes up by 2 for each one after that, up to 5.
Interesting.
So it isn't a one for one. Which, in a lot of games that do a point-based approach, the equivalent of tricks would be a one and done cost. Here, not so much. But fortunately, tricks are put into different categories: ace, push, intent, feat, conduct, parseling tricks, as well as the trick trees, and a bunch that are uncategorized. The ace tricks just let you do additional things with aces. But it seems that most have a catch of you can only get one ace trick.
Yep. The last one has an additional one, I noticed.
Yeah. You literally have to have a sleeve when you get it. Because there is literally
There's
an ace.
literally an ace up your sleeve, cheater.
It's only cheating if you get caught. But
It's telling you to put it there.
That's the player putting it there, not the character.
Maybe this indicates that the player is an immortal from Okahoshin, with it storing things up their sleeves.
Possibly. But when an ace is revealed, you may place the ace aside and add it to a subsequent check as desired. Physically tuck the ace up your sleeve. If you aren't wearing something with sleeves, bad luck. Your sleeve can only hold one ace at a time. But,
all right, so check your wardrobe before leaving the house to play Parselings if you've got the up your sleeve trick. Or only play during winter.
Yeah. But things
Are you
like
playing outside during winter?
No, I mean, typically you wear long sleeves in winter, right? So
Fair enough, fair enough.
Or fall, but there was no such thing as fall/autumn in the monastery. There is only
Yep.
winter and not winter. Uh,
Yeah, it's the
but
exact opposite of California.
but push tricks. Oh, what? Oh, believe me, I know. I have a friend who I have friends who visit from Cali, and I always feel bad for them when I go to see them at the airport and it's in January weather.
Ooh, my condolences to them.
Yeah.
My condolences on one hand. On the other hand, they needle me about me freezing every year, so turnabout is fair play. Now, am I saying that that I take the long, slow route so they have to be waiting in the cold sometimes?
It'll help
You'd
them acclimate, right?
never do that.
Uh, they got to build up resistance somehow. But when it comes to push tricks, it looks like they are very much themed around around the perseverance mechanic, uh, or just being harder to take out. Uh,
I mean, push is a blackjack term of when you match with the dealer, so
mhm.
works.
Yep. Like for example, adrenaline surge, where when you take health damage, you can spend 1 potential. For the remainder of the scene, you can reveal additional cards equal to the number of health damage on any check. All cards revealed in this fashion will be removed. You are taking a high risk with that, and it does cost 1 potential, as mentioned. But then there's intent tricks, which are gonna be well using intent.
Oh look, requirement GM approval. I always love seeing that.
Mhm.
Establishment, you like own a place, basically, it seems.
Yeah. Uh, so
Don't you just love when you could just buy a place to live
mhm.
in this
Yeah.
economy?
Yep. I do have a safe house feat in Legend Edition.
I
Yeah.
know. I had it. It
Mhm.
did nothing for me.
Yeah. That I look at that as more of a consequence of the one shot. Uh, but then we have feats tricks, which are definitely going to be used for checks that use the feats aspects, which we've covered. Uh, I do like that one of the tricks is giant. And
Yep.
I'm glad you can only get this at character creation, otherwise that would create some questions.
Oh, hey, look, my name's in here.
Uh,
For whatever reason, you're built bigger than your average Joe.
If you have the trick, you can use your force as if it was 1 level higher. This will affect other derived statistics based on the force stat. You can't exceed force 5 with it.
Aww.
But
Wallflower. People find it hard to notice you.
on
Martial arts.
Let's see, where's martial arts? When you apply this trick when making unarmed force plus melee checks, for each 2 points in this trick, you gain additional success. And there's conduct tricks for, well, the conduct aspect pair. And a lot of these are the diplomancer kind of ones. And then there's connections.
Yeah, a lot of these seems pretty close to some World of Darkness merits.
And infamy, if you want to take that approach, where you can get additional successes on cunning checks, but you're also penalized on charm checks.
Okay.
And conduct tricks, which there aren't as many as the other types, but there's some decent ones. These are definitely going to be used by some
Wingman.
diplomancers. And
Yeah.
Wingman.
hmm, select a friend or companion. When they are engaging in a conduct check, you can reveal 2 cards from either their own deck or yours. Treat any hearts revealed as if they had been revealed by your friend. You can offer your assistance in any scenario. Oh, nice. Oh. Then there are some tricks that are uncategorized. These are ones that don't quite fit. And
Good old jack of all trades.
yep, when a jack is revealed, you can treat it as if it had a value of 1. Any effects of the condition still apply. That may not sound like much, but that means that a jack is not totally useless, and if it's the right suit, it could contribute to a draw.
Yeah.
Reduction's interesting.
Reduction for each level in reduction, permanently reduce your deck size by 1. After taking this trick, you may permanently remove cards until your deck is at the correct size. Which, on the other hand, it looks like you can only do it up to 5, and you are, it looks like you are going to be adding script into. Nope, never mind. You are, though. I do have to ask the question why you would spend scripts to reduce your deck size.
I think it would depend on your build.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you
Yeah.
want to increase your chances of getting certain cards, or if you want to remove the chance of getting certain cards. Know what I mean?
Yeah. In that
so,
case,
like, someone who's, like, really wanting, like, who's really going all in on a specific ace trick would want to, like, really focus on getting their aces, so they would pare down other cards.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, someone who wants to get rid of, like, certain numbered cards so they don't get those. For whatever reason.
Yep. But then there's parseling tricks, which it looks like these are ones that are built around just the nature of being a parseling.
Plagiarism. Love it.
Let me see plagiarism.
By the way, how do you pronounce this? Parsesite?
Parsite is how I've been pronouncing it.
And we got that erudite trick that was mentioned specifically earlier.
Yep. If you take the 3-point version, you can add an additional augment when parsing. If you take the 4-point version, you can add 2 augments when parsing.
Wow.
2 additional augments.
That's potentially pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm. You still need at least 2 parselings to trigger the parse when using it. And keep in mind the 3-point version is because of how this is set up, there's some steep requirements. First off, it's 3 or 4 points, which is on the higher end of trick points.
Oh, actually, it looks like a starting character can't do this because you have to have articulation or at least 2.
For the 3-point version, you need 2. For the 4-point version, you need 5 articulation. Meaning, the strongest version of it, you basically need to be at the end game level of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like foci.
And
so select one word for this trick to apply to when using the specified word to parse. Ace cards may be treated as if they have the value of another card that you have drawn. It seems like something that you would want to use if you have a good ace trick.
Yep. Uh, but since plagiarism was brought up earlier, let me look at that. Upon fatally wounding or participating in killing another parseling, you may trigger this ability and steal one of their words. You may only receive a
Oh.
word if you have a free aspect or augment slot. Spend one syllable and make an articulation plus potential check with a success threshold of 3. On a success,
This
you
is-
gain a word from the parseling appropriate to the scene.
You're kind of a parceling vampire in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Osmosis.
Yep. And I want to check something when it comes to advancement, because I want to see how much it would cost to. So, when it comes to increasing articulation, that can be done through script. Obviously, articulation 1 doesn't cost anything because that's what you start with. 2, 6 script. 3, 9. 4, 12. 5, 15. So you can increase articulation, which is gonna make you better when it comes to parses, but it ain't gonna be cheap.
Nope.
But with osmosis, once per scene, you can ingest something physically that reminds you of your words and make an articulation check. For every 3 successes, restore 1 syllable. There are many things humans should not normally ingest. If you're still a parseling, the GM may rule that you take wounds for eating dangerous substances.
I hope your word isn't glass.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, there was this time in a Call of Cthulhu game where my character got this eating fixation, and then you fill in the rest.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
All right. I unfortunately have to get going. It is that time.
No worries. I will catch you next week. Stay frosty, man.
Take it easy,
Take
Joe.
care. Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.
But the last type of trick, it looks like, is trick trees, as mentioned. These are, I guess, the equivalent of feat chains, but they're far more organized.
Yeah.
We kind of saw this tree set up earlier with incoherence and with paragraphs.
Indeed.
And
I wonder how many of these there can be.
so we have amplifier, expression, messenger, parse afflicted, pigeon, which seems to be one specifically for lingua.
Yeah.
Incoherency, paragraph, which we already covered, and that's all of the trick trees.
Okay. So I'm curious about that parse afflicted, what it is exactly.
Let's see. Well, the first one for it is misprint, which is a 1-point trick that requires GM approval. Essentially, it seems the idea with it is that this is a extension of divine parses, because doing ones at that level are such a massive effect that it can leave additional after effects.
Yeah. Okay. And it feels like if you're going to be going into these, a lot of them are requiring like higher articulation scores. So you're probably going to have to be spending a bit on articulation as well as sticking to buying up these trick trees.
Mm-hmm. And they can certainly be powerful.
Yeah.
But one thing that we've seen is that even with how powerful the effects can be, you are still paying.
Mm-hmm.
You could be paying in script, You could be paying in resources. You could be paying in how much the GM likes you, because a bunch of these require GM approval. But you are paying in some form. You're not getting a free lunch.
Nope. No, indeed. You gotta pay to get those parses out
Mhm.
there.
Yep. But with that said, what do you think of the tricks just as an overall system?
Yeah, seem like they tie into the other systems pretty well. I like them. It reminds me a lot of systems like advantages or disadvantages. Obviously, a merits from World of Darkness comes to mind. Um, and they're set up in such a way that you don't necessarily need to look at every single thing. You can kind of focus on what your character is good at and go from there. Like, if you have high push, you're looking at push tricks, etc., etc. So, yeah, I like it that you don't have to learn about every single one.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe that's lazy. I don't know. Either way, it'll help with character specialization a little bit.
Oh yeah, I do like that it is on a tiered setup.
Hmm.
Because with a lot of the ones you mentioned, and a lot of the ones that I mentioned as far as equivalents, it's usually you spend a certain amount of points and you get that particular trick, knack, what have you.
Hmm.
Uh, but here there's a bit of a stagger, which means for those really powerful ones, you got to earn that.
Oh yeah.
And I always appreciate when these kind of things are properly categorized instead of being one big dumb list. Uh, you can you can blame my years of like 3E for that,
Mm.
where they had all the feats in one
Yeah,
big ass list.
that was a nightmare to navigate because it was alphabetical order, which makes no sense for that many feats,
Hmm. Uh,
especially when there were like feat trees.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
feat trees, and because the whole thing was in alphabetical order, the flow wasn't as natural.
not at all.
Of course, there was also the issue of ridiculous prerequisites, which, speaking on that, the prerequisites here are pretty light and understandable. Whether it be character
Yeah.
creation only or GM approval because it is a significant impact, or
Mhm.
the fact that with the trick trees you have to do them in a certain order and certain ones cancel each other out.
Yep.
And
I liked what Joe. Sorry, go ahead.
this is this is this does mean that um, even if you had infinite scripts, some stuff you're just not going to be able to get.
Yeah. Helps to once again with character differentiation and specialization.
Hmm.
So, plenty of options. And I liked what Joe had to say earlier about how Leo probably made friends with a thesaurus, because I think that's maybe for people who haven't tried to design a game before. Maybe this is something that is a little less known, but yeah, it's oftentimes you'll want to find a different word for something than the one that first comes to mind, whether for flavor. But it's clear that Leo spent a lot of time deciding what to call these various abilities and finding the right word for each one. Imagine that, but that's apropos for what this system in this game are,
Hmm.
putting words together to create changes in reality.
Yeah, that does also mean that uh, while I called the parse system casting, This is not a system where you're going to be throwing fireballs.
Yeah, no. Seems unlikely.
Is it possible one could interpret the a parse as throwing a fireball or something? Yeah, but it's clear that because of the whole group setup, this system is designed to discourage that.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm personally fine with that because it does mean people have to put a bit of thought into what sort of parses they end up making,
Hmm.
as well as think on the fly with it. You know, the choice to make parses um, as a pre in a kind of preset. Um,
Yeah.
it's it might be good to expedite when it comes to parses that you use multiple times.
Things that you do by rote, sort of, yeah.
Mm. Uh, but it's not like you're preparing a spell list or something like that.
Yeah.
Which the way words seem to work and the whole words define, I feel like that lends itself more to a freeform type of casting than a more defined one. Um,
Yeah.
in the same way how trying to write a defined spell list for bending if you were to say write an Avatar TTRPG
Hmm.
would kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
And some people have tried and they've made that mistake. Uh, and
You
on
can
the
do these specific things with earth, water, air, and fire, is what you're saying.
mhm.
That's what they tried to do, and yeah, I can see how that would not work out well.
Or just writing it out as a spell list. Um,
Yeah.
even even in something like because a while back I did cover um the preview for the Cosmere RPG,
Mm.
and the magic system in both Stormlight and in Mistborn would not lend itself well to a defined D&D like spell list.
Yeah.
Not unless you want to be being Sisyphus or just replicating the spells that were used by individual characters. And I'd
Yeah.
even say the Wheel of Time also falls into this.
For sure. And I do remember they had didn't in like Wheel of Time 3 third edition, didn't they have like a defined spell list sort of,
They did.
or a weave list?
Now I do have that book in my library, so I'm going to double check that just to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass.
Mm.
Uh, but from what I recall, uh, let's see. First, I have to figure out which. Here it is.
Mm.
So, I do remember talking with Stephen Long about doing Wheel of Time. He did not enjoy the experience. Um, he has some issues with
Mm.
with the vast amount of characters that Robert Jordan puts in his books, but also
Don't we all?
he got he got the gig almost as a pity for Last Unicorn Games being bought up by Wizards of the Coast at the time.
Mm. Okay.
But let me see. And yeah, there is a weave list, and it isn't as it isn't as set as say spellcasting, but
Mm.
it is close enough. it has a lot of the DNA of that. Um,
Yeah.
I suppose I should consider it fortunate that they that and unfortunately it is using the Vancian model,
Right.
which I think would be complete. I have struggled with trying to figure out settings with little association with D&D that their magic system could actually work with the Vancian model.
Hmm.
And
Like, I can't think of, like, maybe I can't really think of any except for maybe Pathfinder.
which can't count for obvious
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
Same reason if someone brought up Dragonlance, I'd say that can't count, and you know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I th- I know a lot of people like to try and gaslight me about how um the Vancian model isn't it that my problems with it aren't that big of a deal. But
Hmm.
if the system was that good, why isn't it more widespread? Is a question I've repeatedly asked.
Indeed.
But I just is not talking out of my ass. We're assholes, Mildred. It comes natural to us. Look, I hadn't gone through the Wheel of Time RPG books that I have in years, so cut me a little slack.
This feels a little like synchronicity to me, because this is the second time today that Bransan has been brought up in my presence, and, like, it's again the whole nickels thing. It's I would only have two nickels, but it's still odd that it happened twice.
Mm-mm. Oh, history often rhymes.
Yeah.
Now,
I should send you my currently the elemental spell casting system that I'm working on for Skies, because it's meant to be a bit more free form, not like the way Avatar's doing it, um,
er,
or wait, the way they did it. Avatar Legends, I suppose, is what we were talking about there. So
Avatar Legends kind of dipped into that, but it did some other things that annoyed me. I'll get to that later.
yeah.
But with that said, since we are getting to the 3-in-1 rule, when we come back next week, we will not be delving into Parselings. Instead, we'll be delving into the first Lion Wing project that I ever got. That being Picaresque Roman, a Requiem for Rogues. That'll be our one-shot entry, and usually I try to do this thing as 2 shots, but because of the size of it and the fact that I don't have something extremely light like Dharma 6 to fall back on like I did last time, we are instead just going to be doing Picaresque Roman. I had considered this for a full season, but when I looked at the actual page count, I was like, no, this is a one-shot.
Yeah, is this going to be like a noir or more of a neo noir?
I'd say more of a neo noir, especially since two of the big inspirations are Persona and Yakuza.
Okay.
So that'll be a fun thing to look into. And tomorrow, if everything goes as planned, we will finish up the look at Soar. There were some aspects that I realized were a little bit lighter than I thought they were. So I'm just going to be combining the city guide with the final thoughts tomorrow.
Cool.
And of course, on Saturday, we'll be doing double duty as far as interviews. I'll be interviewing Fern the Hex on Biophage, and then later on interviewing Adrian Meja, the interview I was supposed to do on Wednesday, on his Animorphs-inspired project, Beasts.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Biophage. Fern, I've had Fern on my Around the Table show a few times, and I've looked over the quick start for Biophage. Very interesting setup that he's got going on there, with like two players playing in a single body essentially.
Yeah. Fer- Fern's a good guy, even if my first introduction to him was not the best.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you that story later. But
Okay.
with that said, as always, a sincere thanks to everyone who took the time out of their schedule to come onto the show and enjoy the madness. And there will be plenty more where that came from, as there always is here, on the open bar of the internet. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
See ya.